So, guys, it's David here, and it is day 369. I hope you guys had an amazing weekend and you're doing better than yesterday. But today, I want to talk about why it is true that we cannot change our habits, behaviors, and lifestyle if we don't think and feel the same. Now, for a while, I always thought that change happens in the belief system. And we all know that we believe and our beliefs makes up our personality, and our personality is made up of our actions and daily disciplines. We all know that, right? It is not new. But there's something I fail to realize too, that belief is something created over time with our thought, unconsciously, unconsciously, right? And obviously, those happen with uh, similar behaviors and actions which we repeat over our lifetime to form and consolidate our thoughts, to make those into beliefs, to make those something real. Because we can think, but that is only just a thought, right? Our thoughts don't transfer into beliefs right away, but rather they're just mere thoughts. And we think and we have thoughts millions of times over, or perhaps even billions, who knows, but we think and we have thoughts a lot of the times during our waking hours and even unconsciously. So to have our beliefs consolidated, to have belief and to really live by those beliefs, we have to repeat those in physical form and actions, right? But there's one thing I misunderstood, as when you think about belief, you think about that if you think a certain way, then over time you will start to act, right? And for a long time, in my moments of despair and self-sabotages, I'll think differently, hoping that that will be the method to pull myself out of this rut, to pull myself out of this repetitive loop of just self-destruction. And I thought thinking and thought alone will achieve that. However, I'm sure you guys perhaps had experienced this before, where you'll be self-sabotaging or perhaps distracted or doing anything, having this cultivated feeling of dread, doubt, and just plain utterly shit, right? This feeling of negativity deep down within you. And you'll think that belief will change you. So you will start to think differently. You'll start to think about the riches, what success is, and what happiness is, right? You'll start to think and try and embody that person who has those traits and qualities. But also, simultaneously, you feel this negativity deep down inside you. You may think that, or tell yourself, David, I am going to cold call. I am going to code. I am going to finish my assignment. I am going to create this project. But simultaneously, you'll have this feeling of doubt, right? You'll feel doubtful whether you can accomplish this. You'll have fear of rejection, and you'll have this just insecurity, right? Boiling deep down inside you, while simultaneously you're trying to break free from your automatic habits and habitual behaviors by thinking differently. But the flaw lies in we is that we cannot think differently while also feeling differently to achieve a different reality. We cannot live in a different reality when our body and mind is not coherent. We cannot, because the whole point of breaking free from our automatic habits is to program our subconscious mind and those behaviors differently. And we can do that by thought. And we can do that by action. But when our body is going one way, living in the past, and our mind is trying to pull our body into the future, you can see where the resistance lies. You're going at the both ends as you're playing tug of war. And obviously, your body is going to win because it is familiar to us what it feels like to be lazy. It is familiar to us the feeling of doubt, fear, insecurities, and negativity, or perhaps even sad. Right? We are addicted to those emotions because we know what it feels like to be like that. And in a sense, we are addicted because to feel like that is what keeps us sane. to feel like that, it is us staying in homeostasis. It is us staying in the comfort zone. And to cultivate any other feelings of joy, gratitude, and compassion, that is something we don't know what it feels like, first of all. Or perhaps we do, but we have forgotten because we are living in this feeling of just downward spiral, just this emotion of negativity, right? And we are so conditioned to feel like that. But yet, our logical mind, our mind which knows what we should be doing, right? This logical mind is smart, is wise, and it is telling our body to get our ass up and do something. It is telling our body what is the right things to do. And the thing is, we all know what is right to do. We all know what we should be doing to be pushing ourselves forward, to be improving, to accomplish the things we want to do, to create money for ourselves, to create fame and status and security and maybe even love. We all know in a logic and conscious way what is the right thing to do. Right? There's so many materials out there, so many gurus and information out there in this day and age that we all know if we just shut up, keep our head down, and work away at one niche, then we are going to make something out of nothing. But the thing is, and the thing we overlook constantly, is what it means to feel like that in the beginning. Is what it is that we have to understand that we cannot accomplish this new reality and live and embody a characteristics of winning if we don't feel like we think. We cannot accomplish the things we want to when we are thinking one thing and feeling differently. Because we cannot live both in the past and try to live the future. We have to be present. In a sense, this is the first way that we can get rid of the feeling of our past. We stay present to be more aware, but really we stay present to pull ourselves out of the past, to pull ourselves out of the addiction of our old feelings of hate, anger, revenge, lust. We have to pull ourselves out of these survival emotions and be willing to step into the bounds of gratitude and compassion, to step into these higher radiating energies that will allow us to transcend into the future state of being which we want to embody from our logical mind. And thinking can only get us so far. But if we don't feel, if we don't practice and train our body to feel a certain type of way, then majority of the chances is that we are not going to act differently. Right? For a long time, I would think differently and I would do something different. I would hope myself to come back from a gym or come back from a tired day of work and do something different with my life. But yet my body is so conditioned to do the same thing every single time when I feel fatigued, when I feel tired, when I come back from this and that, and the environment's the same. So it is conditioning my body to repeat the same mistakes over and over again like clockwork. And at times it feels like I cannot break this loop because I will be thinking differently and I'll be having this big aspirations, big commitment, but then I'll be doing something totally different. And it's as if I have lost control over my words because I cannot break free from the feeling of habitual behaviors. But that is because I have just been thinking and I have not been feeling differently too. Now, exactly how can we think and feel the same is something I am still figuring out myself too. Because the question I always asked is how can we feel to think like that? If we think like a winner, well, how does it feel like to win? If we think like someone who's charming, who's compassionate. Well, how does it feel like to be that person, right? I guess this is also where a lot of us are reluctant to go beyond the initial steps of self-discovery. Is that to feel on a different level of life? It is difficult, right? Because it doesn't just come right away. We don't know how to feel differently. It is so uncertain, so ambiguous. But if we never train our body to feel like that, then we are never going to break free from our old personas. We're never going to break free from our old paradigms. That is the bottom line. And I guess the way we can feel different is to create those new experiences. But then again, to create those new experiences, by definition, we have to act differently. And to act, we can either do it by discipline or we can do it by sheer change in our beliefs. So if you think about it now, it kind of all goes together. To change, we have to act, think, feel differently. But then to feel differently, we have to act, or to feel differently, we have to train our body to understand what it is to feel like the person we believe. And to do that, there is some discipline involved in that endeavor, which means to change your lifestyle and to change where we are as an individual, it is under discipline. It is under the sheer discipline. And under discipline, there are so many other things like belief, feeling, thinking, acting. All this lies under our discipline, our will to change, our will to understand our own body. So, if we think about this deeply, and there's definitely a lot to think about, I guess what is really important is that to change, we cannot do that without feeling differently about life. Because we all know when we feel good, we have this enthusiasm to do something different with life. And when we feel sad or when we feel down, we tend to associate those feelings with distracting ourselves from those feelings. Those feelings perhaps remind you of the loser you were, the person who couldn't keep his word. And those are, in a form, a trigger to your distractions. Those are a trigger to those behaviors which you are trying to eliminate from life. So it is all very individualized. But all I can say, and all I had realized today, is that we cannot think differently and also simultaneously feel different, because we cannot act different in life when our body and mind are not in coherence and harmony with each other. We have to have the intention and the strong feeling to act accordingly and to act upon our desires. So, this is definitely a lot to think about. But that is also all I gotta say for today. And I do hope you guys had learned something from this. But if not, like always, I'll be here for you guys tomorrow. But until then, good night.